Before we begin, let me explain the cultural context of this Japanese horror story. In Japan, there are many locations known as suicide spots, places with tragic histories where people have ended their lives. These locations often develop supernatural reputations in Japanese folklore. The concept of michizure means taking someone along or dragging others down with you. In Japanese ghost stories, spirits of those who died tragically often try to bring the living with them to the afterlife. The mirror plays a significant role in Japanese supernatural beliefs. Mirrors are thought to reflect not just physical appearance, but also spiritual truth. Breaking a mirror in this story represents breaking the connection between our world and the spirit world. Now, let's begin our story. The Mirror's Edge. It was 11 o'clock at night. 3 friends, myself, Sam, and Kevin, had driven to a famous location in our area, a place where people came to end their lives. From our town, it takes about 2 hours by car to reach the Pacific Ocean. Following the coastal road for a while, you come to a sharp curve where the guardrail suddenly ends. At this spot, a cliff juts out dramatically toward the sea. The height from the cliff to the ocean surface is roughly 50 meters, about 16 stories high. This was the infamous location. If someone were to jump from here, they would almost certainly hit the jagged rocks below, and this place had seen many such tragedies over the years. The locals called it Companion's Edge, a place where death never came alone. We parked our car at a nearby rest area with toilets and a parking lot. Then we walked toward the cliff. "Hey, why do you think they call this place Companion's Edge?" I asked Kevin as we walked up the slight incline. Kevin was the one who had brought Sam and me here tonight. "No idea," Kevin replied with a careless laugh. Sam walked beside him, trying to stifle a yawn. "Well, I heard a rumor," Kevin continued. "They say that when people come here, they suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to end their lives." "What do you mean?" I asked. "I heard a story once. 3 guys just like us came here to check the place out. Suddenly, one of them went crazy and tried to jump from the cliff. When the second guy tried to stop him, he got dragged down too." I responded. "That guy who tried to help got a raw deal," Sam muttered quietly, mixing his words with a failed attempt to suppress another yawn. He was tired. Sam had been our designated driver tonight. This was our usual pattern. Kevin, our occult enthusiast, would suggest these places. I would agree to go, and Sam would get stuck driving us there. Yeah, it's worse than just a raw deal. The guy who tried to help was the only one who actually ended up dying. "What?" I said, surprised. It seemed so unfair. The person who tried to jump survived, but the one who tried to help died instead. "I don't know all the details, but apparently there have been many similar incidents." "What do you mean by similar incidents?" Sam asked. His interest finally piqued. "Haha. No idea. I didn't ask for details." "Oh, there it is." While we were talking, we had reached the spot where the guardrail ended at the curve. Beyond that point, there was only enough space for maybe 2 small cars to park side by side. There was a streetlight nearby, but the bulb seemed to be dying. Its weak, flickering light made the scene even more eerie. We could hear the sound of waves crashing against rocks far below. "Nobody else is here," Sam said, sounding thoroughly bored. "Well, other rumors say you can see multiple people at the bottom of the cliff, or that hands reach up toward you," Kevin said as he climbed over the guardrail. Beyond the guardrail, there were no safety ropes or barriers of any kind. It truly seemed to say, "Please jump right in." "Hey Kevin, that's dangerous. What if you suddenly feel the urge to jump?" I warned him. Ignoring my concern, Kevin stood at the edge of the cliff and peered down. "Wow, this is incredible," he exclaimed. "This fool. I almost wished he would just fall off." "If you want to jump, do it alone," Sam said. He turned his back to the cliff, sat on the guardrail, and took a sip from the plastic bottle he had brought from the car. After some hesitation, I also climbed over the guardrail and positioned myself nearby, ready to act quickly if needed. After a while, Kevin finished examining the ocean and stood up. Well, nothing's happening. Hey, are either of you feeling like you want to end it all right now? What kind of question is that? I thought, but I shook my head and said, not really. Sam, still facing away from Kevin, said, I'm dying to go home. Kevin checked the time on his wristwatch. He always wore it on his right wrist. Come on, it would be such a waste to come all this way and leave without anything happening. Let's wait a little longer. Wait by yourself, Sam replied. Don't be so cold, Sam. We're friends, aren't we? If you're bored, just look at the stars. Go jump off a cliff, Sam muttered. These two were like a comedy duo, so we decided to wait another 20 minutes for anything to happen. The three of us sat side by side on the guardrail, with our legs dangling toward the cliffside. I gazed up at the sky. Sam closed his eyes with his arms crossed, and Kevin restlessly looked around. Damn, I need to use the bathroom, Kevin said after about 10 minutes. He stood up and walked back toward the rest area where our car was parked. Looking over at Sam, I saw he hadn't moved at all since closing his eyes. I looked up at the sky again and found myself thinking about Kevin's story. Was it true that people who came to this cliff felt an overwhelming urge to end their lives? So far, I felt no change in my mental state. This place is called Companion's Edge, right? Sam suddenly spoke. Even though I knew it was Sam's voice, I was so startled that I nearly jumped up. What's wrong all of a sudden? Just thinking about something, he replied. The weak light from the nearby streetlight dimly illuminated Sam's face. His eyes were still closed. Kevin mentioned that one person tried to jump, 2 people fell and 1 person died. Something about that bothered me, so I was thinking about it. Did you figure it out? I asked. Nah, I don't know. Maybe it's just rumors that got exaggerated. If it's all supernatural stuff, I guess there's no point in me trying to figure it out logically. Right, I said. I didn't understand what was bothering Sam, so I just gave a casual response. After that, Sam didn't say anything more. He might have actually fallen asleep. After a while, I heard footsteps and turned around. It was Kevin, walking back up the slope from the rest area. That was quite a long bathroom break, I thought. I was planning to suggest we head home when he got back. But something about Kevin's appearance made me pause. Kevin was walking unsteadily, swaying from side to side. Something seemed wrong. I stood up. Hey Kevin, what's wrong? I called out. Kevin didn't respond to my voice. He kept walking toward us with his head down, swaying left and right. Hey, I stammered. When Kevin reached us, he silently stepped over the guardrail and walked past Sam and me without a word. His expression was blank, and his eyes stared straight ahead. The triangular tip of the cliff, beyond that, nothing but empty space. Kevin didn't turn around. Was this some kind of joke? I stared at Kevin's back as he headed toward the darkness beyond the cliff's edge, toward the ocean. Something was terribly wrong. In that instant, cold sweat broke out all over my body. Kevin, I shouted. I reached out to pull Kevin back, but someone grabbed my shoulder firmly. I turned around. It was Sam. Stop, Sam said calmly. But Kevin will. That's not Kevin. What? At Sam's words, I stared at the figure standing at the cliff's edge, with his back to us. From behind, it looked exactly like Kevin. The same Kevin we had been with just moments ago. What time is it? Sam asked me. There was cold sweat on his forehead too. Answer me. What time is it? Sam's expression was deadly serious. I didn't understand what was happening, but I looked at my watch and said 11:40. Right. So that's not Kevin. I couldn't understand what Sam was saying. I couldn't shake free from Sam's grip on my shoulder either. I could only stare at the Kevin-like figure in front of us. That's not Kevin. Then who was it? What did the time have to do with anything? I had reached out because I thought it was Kevin. My palm was still open. Confused and uncertain, I slowly lowered my arm. At that moment, the figure in front of us turned around, just his head, rotating a full 180 degrees. He was smiling, A disturbing smile where only the cheeks were distorted on an otherwise blank face. Kevin's face wearing that sickening grin. That smile made me realize. This wasn't Kevin. The thing showed us that horrible smile then. With its head still turned backward, it jumped. I gasped involuntarily. Still smiling with just its cheeks, the thing quickly disappeared from our sight. We didn't hear the sound of anything hitting the water. It jumped, I whispered. I stood there in shock for a long time, probably with my mouth hanging open. Sam walked past me and looked down at the ocean dozens of meters below. Nothing there. Nothing floating either. I couldn't respond. Sam walked past me again and said, "Come on, let's go. Kevin will be fine." He stepped over the guardrail and began walking quickly down the slope toward the rest area. Finally snapping out of it, I debated whether to look over the cliff or follow Sam. I decided to hurry after Sam. Sam, what about the police?" "Not yet," he replied. When Sam reached the rest area, he walked past our car and went straight into the men's restroom, without hesitation. I followed him in. The moment I entered the restroom, I gasped. Kevin was lying face down in front of the sink mirror. I rushed over to him. Kevin was sound asleep, snoring peacefully. Though Kevin would probably prefer if I said he had passed out. I still couldn't believe Kevin was really there. Even if it wasn't Kevin, something that looked exactly like Kevin had definitely jumped from that cliff just moments ago. "Hey, wake up, Kevin," Sam said. He crouched down and lightly tapped Kevin's right temple 3 times. Kevin opened his eyes on the 3rd tap. "Hey, what? Huh? Wait, where am I?" This was Kevin. Definitely, unmistakably Kevin. I was certain of it. Suddenly, a wave of relief washed over me, and I kicked Kevin in the back as he was sitting up. "How? Hey, what? Did I do something wrong?" I tried to figure out how to explain what had happened, and decided to just tell him straight. "Kevin, well, someone who looked exactly like you just jumped off the cliff right in front of us." Kevin blinked his eyes rapidly. "What? No way, am I dead? Damn, I really wanted to see that happen." This was Kevin, all right. So completely Kevin, that it was almost laughably obvious. "Come on, we're leaving," Sam announced. "What? After something that interesting happened? Let's stay longer. It's not fair that I'm the only one who missed it." "Shut up. 20 minutes are up. I'm going home. You can either come back in my car or stay here. Your choice." Sam started to leave the restroom, but then stopped as if remembering something. "Oh right, I almost forgot," he muttered to himself. He walked back to the sink area with determined steps. Crack. A sharp sound echoed through the late-night restroom. Sam was holding his plastic bottle. He gripped it by the bottom and struck the mirror straight on with the hard plastic cap. The mirror now had white spiderweb cracks running through it. It would never again reflect anyone's face properly. Kevin and I stood frozen like statues. Sam calmly pulled the bottle away from the mirror, and said to us once more, "Come on, let's go home." Kevin and I silently looked at each other, then obediently followed Sam's command and hurried out to the car. In the end, we didn't call the police. Nobody died. We didn't see anything. That's what Sam said. On the drive home, after Kevin had been chattering excitedly in the back seat but eventually fell asleep, I quietly asked Sam, "Hey, how did you know that wasn't Kevin?" "What wasn't Kevin?" "The thing that looked like Kevin that jumped off the cliff." "Oh, that." The face, clothes and build were absolutely identical to Kevin's. "How could you tell the difference?" Sam pointed to his left wrist, which was on the steering wheel. "That thing was wearing its watch on the left wrist," he said. "Kevin always wears his watch on his right wrist. He did today too." "I see." So I thought something was wrong and looked more carefully. The watch face was upside down. It showed 1:20. That's all. 11:40. 1:20. Mirror image. "So that's why you broke the mirror." "Huh? Oh no. That was just me letting off steam. I saw something unpleasant." "I see." Sam wasn't the type to let off steam like that, but I decided to let it go. Sam had incredible powers of observation. Normally, no one would notice something like that, you wouldn't even look there. The proof was that I couldn't tell it wasn't Kevin. But was it really okay not to call the police? I asked. Sam shook his head. We didn't see anything. Kevin didn't die. That's good enough. Maybe that was the right approach. When Sam said it, it seemed to make sense. Besides, I had a feeling no body would be found. Just my intuition. You know, if you had kept reaching out your hand, you might have been dragged down with it, Sam said casually. His words sent a chill down my spine. Companion's Edge. What a fitting name, Sam said with a big yawn. Behind us, Kevin mumbled something meaningless in his sleep. I shuddered once. I was glad to be alive. By the way, I'm really sleepy right now. Sorry if I crash and we all end up as companions, Sam joked. It was probably meant as a joke, but I couldn't manage to laugh. Sam's car headed toward our town through the deep night, weaving slightly along the empty road.